Hey everyone, we recently passed over the halfway point of 2024, so it's time for me to share some of the films that I have enjoyed and some of the films that I have not. As always, remember that these are my picks. It's totally up to me. If you guys don't like the movies I pick for the worst, if you guys don't like the movies I pick for the best, it's all fine and good. Just tell me down in the comments your picks. Please, I want to know, because the best part about talking about movies is that conversation. We can get each other's opinions civilly, as long as no one's arguing or cursing anyone out, because it's a movie, guys. These are made to entertain us, and yeah, I have had a lot of fun this year reviewing movies. I've watched 52 so far, so yeah, we're going to start off with the worst. I'm going to give you some honorable mentions. Let's get into those. Back to Black. A film that is so focused on the downfall of Amy Winehouse that it never takes its time to focus on her achievements and the things that she's most remembered for. Madame Web. It's crazy that this is even in the honorable mentions and not the top 5, because this film has awful execution all the way around. Its script is bad, the acting is poor, the story is effortless, and it's honestly one of the biggest embarrassments ever put to film. Night Swim. It's a January horror film that absolutely drops the ball with the execution of such a good concept, and it's in general a really mind-numbingly boring excuse for a horror film. Atlas. It's a Netflix film starring Jennifer Lopez in a mech suit as she connects with the AI, and needless to say, it feels like this entire thing was written by that AI. Founders Day, a horror film that has god-awful acting, a bare-bones story, a horrible resolution that makes me dislike every character. Keep in mind, this film is a bit of a lower-budget one, but they could have done such a better job with the story they were given. Now on to my top 5 worst films of the year so far. Number 5, Tarot. I just knew that this movie was going to be a generic mess, but I had no clue that it was going to be this bad. This movie only has one thing going for it. Jacob Batalon, aka Ned from the Spider-Man films. That's literally that's the only thing I remember from this movie, really. I believe I remember that the designs for the tarot monsters were interesting. They were kind of cool, but that's really it. It's boring, it's mindless, it's cliche, the characters are completely one note. It's just one of the most forgettable films I've seen in so long. Number 4, Pool Man. Speaking of forgettable films, I could literally never tell you what happened in Pool Man. This was Chris Pine's directorial debut, and although I went in a little hesitant, I like Chris Pine, so I was like, I wanted to check this out for him. I don't know if it just didn't work for me. I don't know if I didn't understand what he was going for, or if I'm just not the right audience for it, but man, I hated watching this. It's got a great cast. You got Danny DeVito in there, Chris Pine, of course, Annette Bening. But the story just completely falls flat when it comes to being interesting, or there's no depth to it. It's just all around. It's just run completely hollow to me. Number 3, The Thundermans Return. Every year I put myself through movies like this where I know I'm clearly not the target audience, but I watch them anyway to see how it goes. I can actually say, though, I don't know who this movie is for. This is a movie that's following up on a TV series that ended 6 years ago. Most of that audience has grown up, or at least gotten to that stage where they aren't watching Nickelodeon shows anymore. And yet this movie is just filled with Gen Z humor. They use phrases like Nepo Baby. It's just outrageously cringy, and for some stupid reason they left in the laugh track. So it just kind of ends up feeling like a longer episode of The Thundermans. Who was this made for? Number 2, Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. So I don't want to talk about this one too much because this isn't actually released yet. But if y'all didn't know, this was leaked on Reddit. Of course, me being a big SpongeBob fan, and a few days ago, or I think it might be today being his birthday, I decided to watch it when it first got leaked, and honestly, I'm just very disappointed with the people running the trajectory of the SpongeBob license, this franchise. It just feels like there's no love put into this anymore. There's nothing there. It's just kind of there to sell product. There are just some effects in this movie and some jokes in this that just would leave Steve Hillenburg rolling in his grave. Just check it out on Netflix. I think it drops August 2nd. You'll see what I mean. Number 1 is undoubtedly Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate. I think it's really no surprise that this is my number 1. I feel like anyone that's seen this movie has it at its number 1 worst. Just look at this movie, guys. It's an insult to people that love the first movie. It actually hurts watching the first movie, knowing what this sequel did with these characters and the story. It's an insult to people that, you know, I don't even know what people this is trying to insult or who this is even for. I don't understand it. Once again, guys, I don't have any clue who wanted this. There is terrible, cringeworthy jokes. None of what made the first movie good is in this. None of the voice cast are in it. None of the animation that's carried. It's somehow gotten worse. How that happened, I don't know. The people that grew up with the first one are older now and would never watch this because it's literally for babies. Although I wouldn't even show my kids this. I would show them every Illumination film ever created before I would show this to them because it's horrible. It's undoubtedly the worst movie of the year. Now here's some of my honorable mentions for my favorite films of the year so far. Love Lies Bleeding, a wild film with great chemistry between Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien, a crazy intense performance from Ed Harris, and an ending that will have you on the edge of your seat. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I really regret not getting to do a review on this one, but unfortunately I was sick. But I loved this. This is a visual splendor of epic proportions. George Miller knocks it out of the park. Anya Taylor-Joy is iconic, and Chris Hemsworth gives one of the best performances of his career to date. Snack Shack. This is definitely a boys' night kind of movie because of how much raunchiness and comedy there is, but beneath all of that hides a very emotionally impactful story that I wasn't expecting, and it tugs at the heart. Kinds of Kindness. This is easily one of the most insane films I've ever seen, and I can't help but love it for that. You guys know me, I love weird and wacky movies. I really enjoy the cast here, its compelling and thrilling nature of how it's telling the story. It's just all around a movie that you have to experience. Bad Boys Ride or Die. I have a blast with this franchise and these two characters, and this film delivers yet again on what makes this franchise stand out. It's funny, it's outrageous, it's action-packed, and especially in this one, the way the action is filmed really makes it a standout. And now for my top 5 favorite films of the year so far. Number 5, Hitman. This was just a very well done film from Richard Linklater that blends together the thriller, comedy, and romance aspects of it perfectly. Glenn Powell and Adria Arjona have an absolutely fantastic chemistry. They both deliver great performances. There's a lot of funny moments in there when it comes to the different personalities that our fake hitman has to put on. But there's also a looming sense of danger and almost tragedy to this movie that I wasn't expecting. Because you, of course, have Gary being fine with the way that his life is going, but as he connects with Madison under this new persona he's created, he kind of starts to really open up, and we see how much he's been wanting this kind of connection in his life to kind of spice it up. And I just really connected with his character, so you want these two to stay together through everything that's happening. In the back of your mind, you're wondering how it'll all wrap up, what secrets will come to head, what's going to happen with this case that they're trying to solve involving our two characters, and it'll just really keep you on the edge of your seat here, so definitely check it out on Netflix. Number 4, Civil War. I am a massive A24 fan, as you guys know, and Civil War is hands down one of the most captivating and intense movies that has ever come from them. Thanks to Alex Garland, we have this film that keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time. You're wondering what's going to happen and how this is all going to end. And it's not even a horror film, but it's somehow one of the most terrifying movies of the year. It's just so insanely surreal. It immerses you in this world that is dark and corrupt and divided and chaotic. The cast is phenomenal here as well, in particular Kaylee Spaney and Kirsten Dunst. It carries this very tense tone to it. It has extremely beautiful visuals. It's just one of the best cinematography, like one of the best shot films of the year as well. Now, make no mistake, this is not going to be an all-out action-packed war film, but it's something better where it kind of studies how these journalists, you know, go in and risk their lives and they see horrific things and how that affects them while still trying to be focused on their job. The film utilizes the journalism angle expertly, especially during scenes where a picture is taken during someone firing a gun or something exploding. It's just a movie that will keep you on your toes till the very end. Number 3, Abigail. There's nothing I love more from a horror movie than when it just lets loose and lets you have fun with it. That's exactly what Abigail does. Thanks to Radio Silence, the guys behind Scream and Scream 6, as well as Ready or Not. Awesome films there. They put out another movie here that utilizes the ballerina angle they go with, where this girl, she seems seemingly nice and innocent, but she turns out to be this bloodthirsty killer. They incorporate the ballerina dance moves and techniques into her movements, whether she's chasing somebody or killing someone. That was very wacky. It's very much a blast to watch. I really enjoyed the cast with Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, as well as Kevin Durant and Catherine Newton providing very entertaining scenes, some scene stealers there for sure. It's just all around a really fun and gory time. That's all I needed out of it. I think that in the future we can maybe even get, if they want to turn this into a franchise, they can give us even more lore and backstory to Abigail, because I was very interested in that. The way they presented her relationship with her father in this was very awesome. So I really left this movie with a big grin on my face and more hope for the future of this movie maybe being a franchise. Number 2, Dune Part 2. This is going to be a very controversial choice, I'm sure. A lot of people have this as their number 1, but nonetheless, I still think this movie is absolutely phenomenal. Denis directed the heck out of this movie. It's all shot and written expertly. Everything we set up in Part 1 gets payoff here. Every character kind of gets a moment in there to shine or do a really awesome dialogue, or a monologue, sorry. Just do a really awesome performance. In particular, Timothée Chalamet and Austin Butler really shine in this. Of course, you gotta love Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin. The visuals in this movie are just phenomenal. It will blow you away. It somehow even has a larger and more epic scale than Part 1 did. I didn't know that was possible. The character arcs throughout, especially the journey that Paul Atreides goes through, is so compelling to watch. It just has to be one of the most groundbreaking achievements in sci-fi filmmaking I've seen in a long time. It's an absolutely unforgettable experience. But at number 1 is going to be The Fall Guy. It's been sad to see how badly this bombed at the box office, but I genuinely think The Fall Guy is the most fun movie of the year. At least for me. Sure, it doesn't have the stunning visuals or the Academy Award-winning script or performances, but truthfully, this movie is just a feel-good movie for me. It's hands down my comfort film of the year so far. I've watched it a handful of times. I just love the dynamic between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. I love how much of a love letter this is to filmmaking and, most importantly, stunt performers. This film even includes a bunch of behind-the-scenes footage in the credits of the stunts, which makes me want to have that in every action movie now. That would be awesome. I get that a lot of elements are mixed into this. It might be a little bit unfocused, but I just can't help but love this movie. I'm sorry, guys. It has epic action. It has epic stunts, of course, epic chemistry between Ryan and Emily, and it caps off with the most fun third act of the year for me personally. Yes, it's very outlandish and ridiculous. Yes, it may try to balance too much, but it's just a fun time at the movies, and isn't that what we all go to the movies for? I think so. So The Fall Guy comes in at number 1. Please let me know what your picks are for your top 5 worst and top 5 best movies of the year down in the comments below. Leave a like. I love the show of support that you guys have been giving me lately. We are on that road to 1,000 subscribers. I would love to get there soon because I've got some awesome stuff planned. But until then, thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you guys follow me on Letterboxd. I'll leave that in the comments below. You guys can get my opinions on other films. And until the next one, take care and goodbye.